Sea Generals welcomes you. Enjoy the animal world. Today we are visiting THALI Game Reserve. Stay with us for interesting animal views and facts. The game drive took us 90 minutes, where we had an excellent chance of spotting all West Coast featured species. The South African West Coast contains the Saldanha flat strandveld and in a very good condition. As you can see on the road and tire contact on the vehicle in front of me, we are experiencing winter rains. The early winter rains seem to have brought green grasslands and shrublands. We are almost there, only 5 minutes drive left to take the left turn on the gravel road to the game reserve. They have quite accommodating hour. Mondays to Sundays, we've arrived. The primary habitat type here is the Saldanha flat strandveld, consisting of few trees and moderately tall shrub layers. There seems to be little variation in the vegetation over the property, except that it contains more typical fynbos species. This game reserve is home to an abundance of wildlife species, such as Cape buffalo, eland, oryx, sable antelope, blue wildebeest, giraffe and cuddies, among other wild animals. The THALI reception area appearance and arrangement exposes the character of the game reserve: clean lines, minimal clutter, and nature-inspired materials to make visitors feel centered, focused and calm. How beautiful and green. You've got to love the lodge, the restaurant and bar. However, for now let us enjoy the game drive and beautiful wild animals. Our first sighting are the female European fallow deer, or common fallow deer. Turkey is considered to have natural populations of European fallow deer, even though it was also introduced outside of Europe, in countries such as Argentina and South Africa, among others. Did you know bony deer species grow antlers, a bony, horn-like structure that male European fallow deer grow every year, and then they shed them, meaning they fall off, which their antlers will typically grow back larger the next year. However, when an animal gets old, their antlers will begin to grow back smaller than in their prime years. The fallow deer is one of the most fascinating species, because some are white, some are black, and many have what is known as manille coloring. As a result, the patches are more noticeable, and the tail and rump are both free of black, while with the typical coloring the coat goes grey, and the spots vanish. The spots remain throughout the winter. Some of the trees and shrubs here include Acacia cyclops, Acacia saligna, Chrysanthemoides monilifera, and Euclea racemosa, among others. Let's see what wild animal we will spot next. The blue wildebeest, also called the common wildebeest, large antelopes with cloven hooves and ruminant status are blue wildebeest. Males and females both have horns, although the male's horns are larger compared to the thinner hindquarters. The forequarters are nicely formed. The term blue wildebeest comes from the adult coats, which have a blue gloss to them, hence the name blue wildebeest. In ecology, blue wildebeest are classified as concentrate grazers, and they prefer short grass. Water is a dietary fundamental for blue wildebeest and need to drink practically every day. Being water dependent, finding blue wildebeest in the company of zebras is entirely expected. Zebras are bulk grazers of coarse grasses, paving the way for blue wildebeest to eat shorter grasses in succession grazing, a phenomenon known as coarse grass grazing. Furthermore, blue wildebeest benefit from zebras' excellent eyesight, which they use to protect themselves from predators through early detection signs. Another anti-predator trait is the wildebeest's ability to form large herds. Surprising as it may, in this sighting wildebeests are grazing with other antelopes. In this herd of wildebeests, we identified some golden wildebeests. These lovely animals often have dark brown vertical stripes across their chests and a distinct golden color. They resemble black wildebeest, with the exception of the color difference, a recessive gene, similar to the one that causes blue eyes in humans, is the source of the color variation. Can you spot that animal? What is that? It's a kudu, the world's third largest antelope species behind the eland and bongo, because they lack the endurance to run quickly and for a long time. Kudu hide in shrubs and remain motionless, hence we couldn't identify it in between the shrubs. Kudu, a very unique and beautiful animal, belongs to the group of antelopes. One of the tallest and most striking antelopes is the greater kudu. Stunning long, spiraling horns and a beard adorn males, who can weigh up to 700 pounds. The females are noticeably smaller and rarely possess small horns. They have a ruddy earthy colored coat, yet much of the time grayish-brown. Let's move on to the zebras, commonly called pajama donkeys. Burkel's zebra and mountain zebra can be confused. However, the stripes on the legs, fading stripes in Burkel's zebra versus clear stripes on mountain zebra, and belly are unique. The belly in the mountain zebra is entirely white with no stripes. Zebra stripes have fascinated people for centuries. No two zebra have the same stripes, so it acts as a type of fingerprint, a type of identification. White on black, or black on white. Zebra have black skin, with white fur, the stripes resulting from pigment transfer from the skin onto the fur. Zebra populations are highest on broad plains, where they frequently interact with wildebeest. They adapt quickly and are unafraid of broken or steep terrain, where they are also common. Burkel's zebra is a migratory species, and its travels are heavily influenced by the availability of food and water. Zebras are grazers who can graze grass shoots at ground level. Feeding occurs primarily in the early mornings and late afternoons, when temperatures are lower. They also frequently eat on ground level grass that has recently been burned and is sprouting. Green shoots, they dig underground tubers and rhizomes throughout the dry season. They are water dependent, which means they must drink water frequently. Our next sighting are the Cape buffaloes, the largest and toughest of Africa's wild bovids. Cape buffalo, also known as the African buffalo, is a well-known sight to visitors of African parks and reserves. Only the Cape buffalo exists naturally in Africa as a member of the buffalo and cattle tribe. Cape African buffalo, due to their size, temperamental nature, and propensity to attack suddenly. African buffaloes are among the most hazardous creatures to hunt on foot and made it into the Big Five ranking, given that these giant bovids weigh 800 kilograms for a male and 750 kilograms for a female. The head of the African buffalo is lower than its backline, making it a bulky animal because of the buffalo's heavy front. Its front hooves are wider to support this weight. Forest buffaloes are more reddish-brown and have more hair around the ears, while savanna-dwelling buffaloes are smaller and have a slightly different appearance. The buffalo is able to consume grass more quickly than the majority of other African herbivores, due to its deft tongue and wide row of incisor teeth. Maybe the most unquestionable component of the bison is its lofty arrangement of horns. The shield formed by a male buffalo's horn bases is referred to as a boss. The horns may be fully formed at 5 or 6 years old, however. The boss becomes completely hard and suitable for sparring after a few more years. It is easy to identify the dominant bull as the male with the thickest horn. These animals spend up to 18 hours a day moving around, with the majority of the time being spent grazing or chewing the cud. While grazing, the herd will stick together and may even create a bigger group, with the core herd surrounded by inferior males and elderly animals. This configuration makes it difficult for a predator to pick off and separate individual animals when they are being attacked. Let's move to our last sighting of the day, the giraffes. The tall, beautiful and amazing giraffe. Huge in many ways, with a very long neck and an intriguing structure that allowed everything to function inside of that enormous body. Giraffe's neck is too short to reach the ground. As a result, it has to awkwardly spread its front legs or kneel to reach the ground for a drink of water, or when eating from the ground. Giraffes spend most of their lives standing up. They even sleep and give birth standing up. The giraffe calf can stand up and walk after about an hour, and within a week, it starts to sample vegetation. A giraffe's spots are much like human fingerprints. No two individual giraffes have exactly the same pattern. Giraffes prove that you can be super tall and super fast. They reach speeds of up to 60 km/h over short distances. Predators beware. Giraffe kicks are powerful and their hooves are the size of dinner plates. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. More game and nature reserve visits shall follow. Don't forget to subscribe. Vivid videos.